dialogue. Now see, to my mind, this is transformed in Luke into this silly episode here, when there's a little man called Zacchaeus, a tax collector and rich. And he couldn't see because he was little. I don't know how this plays off the others. It's in the wrong place. It's in Jericho. And, you know, Paul is not leaving Jericho. Jesus is coming to Jericho. Paul is leaving Jericho, and the pseudo companies here, Jesus is coming to Jericho. This is how I would work on these episodes. And Jesus, he wants Jesus to come into his house. And he climbs up a tree, right? Well, you know, you judge which kind of material seems to you to be more historically authentic. The little man climbs up a tree and says that he's a sinner. And then he's going to give to the poor, of course, because he has wrongly reacted. Anyway, I don't credit this at all. I mean, this is just we're picking up the themes and juggling the themes we've been seeing again. And I think totally another filler bit of material. Again, you say, President Eisenman, you're really harsh. Yes, well, if you think this can be credible, a little man shimming up a tree who's a tax collector and then gives half of his taxes to the poor. So it's the same theme we've been watching, the pro-Roman presentation and the tax collectors going into the kingdom of heaven before the Jews and things like that, and the tax collectors believing on John. And here the tax collector wants Jesus to come into his house. We've had around 15 of those episodes. The Roman centurion wants Jesus to come into his house. The Roman centurion wants Peter to come to his house in Acts and so on. We've got innumerable of those episodes. They multiply. Are they historical? I can't tell. You have to be the judge. Okay, so now we have John 11, and in my sequence here, 55, which was the anointing of Jesus by Mary and I guess Martha complaining or whatever, and then again giving to the poor. That's again the giving to the poor episode in John. And then we come on to the Matthew 21. Let me see, in John 12, we have line 9, just to end it in my harmony here. The common people learn. I don't know if this translation is good because I don't have the Greek next to it in the harmony. Yeah, this is the Lazarus thing that we talked about before. We have to put Lazarus to death because the common people are believing on Jesus because of Lazarus, which is totally confused. Okay, the entry into Jerusalem. All four have it. Matthew 21, Mark 11, Luke 19, John 12. We're on the same page now together here? Okay? Entry into Jerusalem, or whatever your harmony calls it. Jesus sends two disciples ahead of him, and they get an ass tied next to, with a colt, tied next to a tree. John, I don't think, has the ass and the tree material at that point. Does John pick up the ass and the tree material? I don't see it. John rather has a great multitude yelling out, Hosanna to the King of Israel. Although he does have it. And Jesus found a young ass sat there on. Line 14. Is that correct? Okay, so it doesn't have sending the disciples to find the ass. The sending the two disciples is very much like sending the two disciples to ask John when he's going to get moving, things like that. Again, I can't judge the historicity. You'll be the judge of that. But let's just pick up the thread here. For Matthew, this is supposed to fulfill the scripture, Zechariah 9:9. Tell the daughters of Zion that your king is coming, meek and riding on an ass upon the colt of the foal of an ass. So there may be an attempt to incorporate scriptural proof texts into this narrative, but again, I can't judge the historicity part of it. So, but they put their garments out, and the multitude spread the garments in the way. Oh, that goes back to the Noctimon material, where Noctimon was so rich that the poor laid out their garments before him as he made his way to the temple in the Talmudic material. So the laying out the garments, the laying out the body of Lazarus, you have to go through all these laying down their garments, laying down the body, whole series of additional usages. And others, I think that goes right to the Talmudic material that I mentioned about Nachdiman, that we've had a lot about now, and his riches and so on. But in any case, this may not be that way. And Mark has, they cast on him their garments. Mark has the casting language there. Luke goes back to the spreading language. I don't see anything in John about that aspect of things. Then in Luke adds some of the Pharisees from the multitude, the many being the rank and file of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Master, he cries out, some of the Pharisees, rebuke your disciples. Jesus pictures, he uses this to have the enemies cast up a bank about thee, and compass round, and keep thee on every side, and dash thee to the ground, and your children with them. I wouldn't want to meet this Jesus character in this move. He's basically picturing their children having their teeth being knocked out and horrible things of that kind, which the average believer just passes over. That's okay. It's not happening to me. Not happening to my group of people. But if that were aimed at your group of people, you'd be a little bit stunned by it. I don't blame Jesus for this. I don't take any of this kind of speaking as historical. But that's your decision. We know the other side is written right here. But the main thing is, they shall not leave one stone upon the other. That most scholars, now you can beat me over the head or do whatever you want, that most scholars admit is written after the fall of the temple, when the Romans tore down the temple stone by stone, because they saw it as the seat of Jewish revolutionary and messianic strife in Palestine. And they say, and here it's put as a prophecy or a visionary, 30 to 40 years before the event. The scholars, most I don't mean any harm to fundamentalist minded people.